Ben Graham is anything related to politics. My most prominent ones were things related to drug policy reform. The first high school board member for Students for Sensible Drug Policy. It helped expand SSDP into Canada as well, so making it an international organization again. I represented SSDP on the Marijuana Justice Coalition. I was a student senator for SRV USD. I applied to I think it was 25 schools. I chose USC. So I'm doing philosophy, politics, and law, and then I'm minoring in social work and juvenile justice. I had kind of a unique angle to my application. So there was just a disconnect between teachers, administration, and students with regard to drugs. So I wanted to help with that. Hold on, going straight into law school after. Say, take your own path.
Welcome back to the Danville Spotlight. I'm your host, Kushan Harandi, and we're joined here today with
Ben Graham.
So Ben, tell us a little bit about your background. For example, where you went to elementary school, middle school, and high school.
So I went to elementary school and middle school at St. Mary's in Walnut Creek. It's a small, private Catholic school, and then I went to San Ramon Valley for high school.
And starting off a little bit basic, what is your favorite subject in high school, or just school in general, and what was your least favorite subject?
So I think my favorite subject that I took during high school was anything related to politics. I took Introduction to Politics at DVC in particular, which brought together philosophy, psychology, biology, and political science to evaluate what the inherent human condition is. And that was just incredibly interesting to me and got me interested in wanting to go into politics and law in the future. And then my least favorite by far was AP Chemistry. I really, really struggled in that class. It was really hard. And, I just didn't have a good time.
So you would say that was the thing you struggled most with?
Oh, 100%. So, it was either honors pre-calc with Mr. Wallace, which we both had to endure together, or AP Chem. But I think I would still choose AP Chem because just conceptually it was really a struggle for me.
Did you struggle with all the sciences though, or
no? I mean,
just chemistry?
Bio was kind of a breeze because it was freshman bio. Honors Chem wasn't that hard, and so because honors Chem wasn't that hard, it kind of encouraged me to take AP Chem, and then that didn't really work out. So and then physics was fine. So it really was just AP Chem and its curriculum.
Right. And did you have any struggle balancing your schoolwork with your extracurriculars? Because I know you had a lot of extracurriculars.
Oh, yeah, I did a lot in high school, but there definitely was a struggle just because there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
And so finding time to, swim, pursue my career-oriented extracurriculars, and then also have time to study. I was staying up till 2 a.m. every day trying to figure
That's crazy.
Everything out. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you name some of the extracurriculars that you did throughout high school?
Yeah, my most prominent ones were things related to drug policy reform. So I was the first high school board member for Students for Sensible Drug Policy, which is a national nonprofit focused on implementing the drug policy reform, both on college campuses, but then also on a policy level. And so I helped fundraise for SSDP. I also piloted a high school education program on drug safety awareness, and then I created drug safety curricula that was dispersed across 300 college campuses across the U.S. And then I helped expand SSDP into Canada as well, so making it an international organization again. I represented SSDP on the Marijuana Justice Coalition, which was my second biggest extracurricular, I would say. And so I got to edit and kind of draft congressional bills. I worked on 3, the MORE Act, the Safe Banking Act, and then when I stepped down from the position, I was working on the HOPE Act. I was a student senator for SRV USD. So if you don't know, a student senate is they pick 3 kids from each school site in the district, and then they basically just sit on a panel and talk. And try and come up with like action plans on how to get student voice into district decisions. And so I founded the Drug Safety Commission or committee with that and helped bring Narcan certification courses and overdose awareness like forums to the district, as well as speaking on some panels regarding those subjects on behalf of SRUSD. So that was mainly like and then I did a bunch of volunteer positions with um, drug safety reform. So the harm reduction expansion project, I was the lead volunteer on for UC Berkeley. And then for the National Coalition of Harm Reduction, I was a student volunteer and researcher as well. Um, and that was it for like the drug safety part of things. And then I did mock trial. I did youth in government. I swim 4 years, so
Yeah.
yeah,
That
that also is a
that
big part
sounds
of
like
it.
a lot of extracurriculars.
Yeah.
How did you get into all those positions? Like, did you have to apply to most of them or
Yeah, so the SSDP, I started off as an ambassador, and so I just kind of worked on behalf of SSDP independently, and then eventually I joined UC Berkeley's like chapter because like SSDP works in like college chapters, and so
yeah.
the most local one was UC Berkeley, but I ran for the board position and then was elected off a popular vote, and then I applied to Student Senate and got it. And then the rest I was just kind of elected out of merit. Like the MJC, I was selected
Right.
as like the board member to represent. So yeah. And then I mean the swim you just kind of show up and you do swim. So I didn't really have to
Yeah.
do much for that.
So, did you play any other sports other than swim throughout high school? And did you swim? You swim all 4 years, right? So,
Yeah, so I did club swim with Orlando Aquatics for 3 years, like up until my junior year, and then I quit going into the summer before my senior year, and then I actually didn't have my PE credit signed, so I had to go back for senior year
yeah.
and do high school swim senior year. So like technically did 4 years, but not really. I didn't do
Okay.
the real stuff like year rounders do.
Got it. And going towards your senior year, what was your college application process like? Did as in like how many schools did you apply to, and did you end up getting a college counselor or a
Oh,
college advisor?
I didn't use a college advisor or a college counselor just because like I didn't feel the need to get one. And they're also like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was just gonna like DIY it. And I applied to like I think it was like 25 schools.
It's a lot.
It was a lot of schools,
Yeah.
lots of writing. But I think it was worth it in the end. And I think if I were to do it again, I would still apply to that many schools. So I don't really have any regrets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what school did you end up choosing to go?
I chose USC.
Okay. And what was the main reason you chose it? Like what stood out about that other school and what did that school have that the other schools didn't have?
So I mainly chose USC because of like financial reasons. Because I ended up getting a full like ride to USC. And it like nearly beat out some other schools because I was considering just accruing debt in order to go to like a higher end school than USC, but I ended up settling because they had a major that was super interesting for me. They had a lot of opportunities and they're very career oriented, which I appreciated. And so I felt that I would have a lot of security, especially going into like the job market after.
And what was the major that you ended up choosing?
So I'm doing philosophy, politics, and law, and then I'm minoring in social work and juvenile justice.
So is it called PPL?
Yes,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
PPL.
Because I know there's another major at some other colleges. It's called PPE, which is philosophy, politics, and
Like
economics.
Pomona?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I applied to Pomona and that was the major I got in for.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice. So how were you able to get your full ride? Do you think it was like all of your extracurriculars, your
Oh, so
grades? Like what do you think like enabled you to achieve that?
so the great part about the USC like trustee scholarship is that like they kind of tell you like why you got it in the end because I ended up
Oh,
I
nice.
ended up sending like thank you emails to my admissions counselor and then the counselor that overviewed my interview process for the scholarship. And so they kind of outline the general process of like how they select merit scholarship like recipients and then also like why me. So, like, you are only able to be eligible for a merit scholarship at USC if you apply early action. And so I think there was like 42,000 or somewhere between 40 and 42,000 applicants in the early applicate or in the early like admission round. And so they pick 2% of the like top of those applicants to interview in a process, and then a twelfth of those students of the 2% end up getting the trustee scholarship. But they told me that I got the trustee scholarship mainly because I had kind of a unique angle to my application in that it was centered around something that they hadn't seen in any other student, which was like drug policy reform.
Right.
And then they said that I had like great leadership qualities, like both like in those positions that I had, and then also while they were interviewing me. And they said that just like the interview went well, and I sounded like personable, and my academics were obviously like up to par. And then yeah, that was kind of like the reasons.
So when did you start getting interested in this whole law and drug policy thing? Did you know when you were younger that like, oh, this is what you wanted to do, or how did you start beginning to like this?
So I actually like had no interest in law at all up until my junior year of high school. Before that, I was pretty adamant about going into some STEM related field. So at first I wanted to be a doctor, and then
Nice.
it kind of moved into like maybe I should like pursue engineering, and then I took honors chem and I really loved it, and especially loved nuclear chemistry. And so I wanted to do like nuclear chemistry in the future. And so I applied to work at this lab at Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory. And I did the internship for like 2 weeks in this nuclear chem lab, and I hated it. So
What
I,
happened?
uh, so like especially with like nuclear chemistry, it sounds like really like cool and grand and stuff. But in reality, like my job there was to like literally take just like water and like put it into like different droplets for like 4 hours a day. And so I was just kind of bored, and I didn't really see it as something that would like really pique my interest in the future. And so like right about the start of my junior year, actually right after like you could change your classes, I decided I didn't want to do STEM anymore, and so I was stuck in like three kind of hard STEM classes like honors physics, honors Pre-Calc, and AP Chem in my junior year,
Wow, that's a lot
without
of
being
science.
without being interested in science and knowing that I wanted to do politics. But I've always been like politically motivated, but I never really saw it as like a sole like career path up until I was like convinced by my now girlfriend to join speech and debate. And then she convinced me also to do mock trial. And so I really loved those, and it kind of got me, it got my foot in the door with like politics and law. And then drug policy reform was like kind of a whole other thing. Um, there were, I don't know if you know, but there were two students at SRB who overdosed as a result of opiate use or fentanyl adulteration. And so it was particularly the school's lack of response that kind of like it kind of ticked me off because I was like two students at the school had passed away, and there was not even a semblance of recognition for them. And so I like went to the district level, and I was like there needs to be something done about this. Like there should at least be like some type of like drug safety awareness forum that you should have for students and parents to really learn about this type of stuff. And I got no response. So I decided to just do it myself as a
Take
student
matter into
senator.
your own hands, yeah.
Yeah, so I just like I ended up just wanting to do it myself. And then the other thing that like got me into drug policy reform was just kind of seeing how the drug safety like education that we get at SRB and also just like as kids um isn't really like fitting to what we actually see, because like you and me both know that like students at SRV, students at Monte Vista, students everywhere like try drugs. And so to like just sit there and tell people like as part of the drug safety, just like don't do drugs, they're bad, it doesn't really help create a safe environment for students. And also like all of the drug education that we got was like really outdated. you're being like taught stuff like by like 50-year-olds about stuff they don't know about. And so like I just really felt that the administration and teachers didn't have the perspective of what students were actually seeing in their day-to-day lives, and actually like what types of drugs kids are interfacing with, what potency levels in THC, so there was just a disconnect between teachers, administration, and students with regard to drugs. So I wanted to help with that.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
So, obviously you're gonna do PPL at USC the next 4 years,
hmm
but do you sort of have a plan after that?
Yeah, I have a pretty extensive plan, and I'm sure that it's subject to change because I change my career, like, or like my career path, pretty frequently. But right now, I'm kind of settled on going straight into law school after, and then hopefully, they're super competitive, but I want to do a federal clerkship after law school, and hopefully that'd be in the Ninth Circuit or the First Circuit. And so you basically just like sit and help advise a judge, and you help write their opinions and stuff like that. And so it gets you like really good experience on understanding appellate law. And then I'd want to transition into either being an assistant U.S. attorney or doing private appellate litigation. And so like after that kind of career, I'd I'd want to either go like attorney general level or like some type of higher legal position, and then potentially like run for some type of like public office after that.
For like US Senator or something?
Yeah, like Senate or like I don't know if I do House of Representatives, but
Yeah.
uh, I think Senate's a pretty safe position. But yeah, I mean, running for Senate is in California is pretty hard, so I don't know if that would work out.
Yeah, that's
It's a big
huge
state.
population.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So obviously your life is full of stories and you accomplished so much throughout high school. So what is the biggest advice that you can tell to aspiring students that want to achieve as much as you achieved?
I would say like take your own path, because I know that at least for me, when I was going through high school and I was doing the things that I was interested in, I was getting a lot of like kind of flack for it. Like um people were like I don't know, people just didn't really understand what I was trying to do, nor did they like want to understand. And so it can be really hard and isolating to like want to pursue some type of passion and path, but then have so much like backlash from other people for it. So I think just having like a strong sense of self and a commitment to what you're passionate about will carry you through like whatever you want to do. So I think ultimately it's finding your passion and then pursuing it to its fullest extent. Mine, in my case, was drug policy reform, but I'm sure it's different for everybody else. So just kind of find what gets you going, gets you passionate, and like what you kind of like lose time or like lose the sense of time doing. And so that will ultimately like push you to be successful because you have that passion underlying your drive.
And your answer there sort of leads to this last question to end it off. How were you able to stay motivated throughout high school? So all these people sort of like downplaying like what you're doing.
Well,
What did you
so
do?
so I didn't really get into like drug policy reform until my like junior year, really, like is when it started to take like hold. Um, but in terms of motivation, I think my first 2 years I was pretty committed to swimming. Like I wanted to swim at a collegiate level, and so having that overarching goal of I need to get fast enough to swim in college kind of drove me through those 2 years. And then the subsequent junior and senior year were driven by like my passion to like reform drug policy to make it actually safe for kids, um, because it's such a serious and pervasive issue, especially right now, and especially with like fentanyl adulteration and everything like that that we're all seeing. It became like really important to me that there was someone at least like trying to reform drug education and drug policy to make it accurately reflect like what was going on like for students. And so I think it was really ultimately like just wanting to help protect the safety of myself and my peers that ultimately drove me to stay motivated throughout the last 2 years of high school, even with senior year burnout and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us today, Ben.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching the Danville Spotlight.